at all. And Dr. Jacob Seng is in the studio, and you probably know some things about this, right?
That's right.
All right. What is this muscle called?
Okay, so the thing we want to talk about today is it's called the psoas muscle.
Okay.
And it's a muscle that sits deep inside and it connects right to your lumbar spine, so your lower back. Okay. And then it travels down and connects to your femur in your leg, right? So if I'm a deer hunter, right, and I go to butcher my deer, it's what they would refer to as the inside loin.
Okay.
Right. So if anyone needs a point of reference, and I figured it was appropriate for today.
Right. Oh yeah. I agree.
Where the anatomy of the deer is as in relationship to the human body. But a lot of times this muscle gets mistaken as they forget about it, right? People are like, oh, my back's out of place. I'm having this terrible low back pain. And so they come in and see me, and I'm like checking their spine, and we make an adjustment, and things just aren't clearing up. And then we start talking about what they do all day long.
Okay.
And so it's like and that's the thing that really caused this muscle to tighten up. So it's a hip flexor. So it's the thing that picks your knee up to 90 degrees, right? So people who spend an inordinate amount of time seated, that muscle will shorten and tighten up. The thing is as that muscle shortens and tightens up, there's a series of nerves that lay over the top of it. We refer to it as the lumbar plexus. So the lumbar plexus forms all the nerves that go down your leg. So it goes to your groin, it goes to your quad, your hamstrings. It contributes to the sciatic nerve that runs all the way down the back of your leg. So a lot of times that pain and discomfort that people feel into their lower extremity can be coming from the lumbar plexus and the tightness in that psoas muscle. So then our job is to assess that and then release that muscle.
Oh, fun.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's a multitude of different ways to do it, right? Sometimes it requires me to do a little more hands-on, kind of dig in there, press around, find the restriction, get that to release. Sometimes, like a lot of times, people will address those issues in yoga and things like that as well.
Oh, interesting.
Right. What questions you got? I mean, I'm sure you have some questions for him. And this makes sense that we always hear that we need to exercise, we need to stretch, so is there exercises that, other than that, we should be doing on a regular basis that will help this? Can it become a problem later on in life? And sorry to cut you off, I know I'm just jumping up with these questions.
No,
here.
you're absolutely right. And so it can totally become a problem later in life. And like, it's probably not your first year of work at a desk. It's when we go into our 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th, 20th year. In that seated position, and those muscles get tight, and it's hard. We live in a digital era, and so everything is seated.
Right.
So the first thing that I encourage people to do is, if they have the opportunity, is move to a standing height desk. Right.
Okay.
Stretch get yourself upright, use those core muscles, engage that, and then as far as stretching goes, anything that pushes you back into that overarching position to stretch out the front of those hips. So in yoga, we refer to it. What's that?
Would touching your toes?
So that actually goes the other way.
Okay.
We're talking about stretching back.
Oh, okay. Like the crab walk kind of thing.
Yeah. So the cobra pose. Have you ever seen the cobra pose in yoga, where you lay flat on your belly and you keep your hips on the ground, you press your chest up with your hands? And so that's the pose that we refer to a lot to really help with that stretch.
Is that like upward dog too? No, downward dog.
Yes, kind of.
Okay, all right.
Yes, great, good one.
And so, do more men or women have any issues to this? Does it matter or not?
It doesn't really matter. More women, women are more likely to address it for whatever reason, and not to sound, to talk bad into men, they're a little resistant to stretching, right? To taking that time and loosening themselves up. So encouraging them to be aware of that. It's not you sit in your car all day long, drive to work, sit at work all day long, jump back in your car, drive home as you sit down. Then you get home, you sit down to eat dinner, and then you sit down and watch TV on the couch.
Right.
The whole time you're seated, right?
Right.
So getting them to stretch, getting them to move, getting that to release is really, really important. And the thing too is it can affect so much because those nerves go everywhere. It can, digestive issues, reproductive issues, bladder pain, not just back pain, leg pain, and that kind of stuff. It contributes to so much within the human body.
Right. And that probably creates a lot of emotional trauma and stuff for people too.
So I'm really glad you brought that up. Here's the unique thing about the psoas muscle. It is directly connected to your sympathetic fight or flight response. So if you've ever been in like a traumatic experience, and you feel that weakness in your hips, or if you sometimes like even if you have a bad interaction with like your boss or somebody like that, or an angry customer, like you're like, man, I gotta sit down. Like what is going on, right? That's your fight or flight response in your so it acts as a stabilizer to your spine. So like when you have that stressful response, you jump into fight or flight, that muscle turns on and tightens up.
Oh.
And so then you can react, right? That's what helps people run away from the danger. See, the funny thing is as humans evolved, our brains can't tell the difference between the bear chasing us in the woods and the bad interaction with our boss.
Okay.
Like it's the same response, right? And so like now we have all these stored emotions into our hips, into our psoas muscle, that then creates a greater response for the body. Because again, as higher order beings, we have a bad interaction at 7 a.m. I guarantee you a majority of us are still thinking at it at 7 p.m. Mm-hmm. So what's happening to that muscle all day long? It's just staying contracted, right?
Yep.
And it's not letting loose. And so like getting people to realize the emotional connection between their hips and psoas muscle, trying to let go of that stress. And again, coming back to the idea of meditation and yoga and that kind of stuff, even the mindfulness surrounded, like just if you're stretching during the day, it will help to release those stored emotions within that in itself. Yeah. So, and the funny thing too is it's also connected to the diaphragm. So if you notice in fight or flight, your breaths get really shallow. Mm-hmm. Same thing, right? Like our body, and again, like I don't think we talk about this enough, is that our brains don't know the difference, right? We don't know the difference between an actual, like the physical threat and then the things we're creating within our mind. Mm-hmm. And so like putting perspective around that is kind of cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's kind of fun.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Dr. Jacob Seng, and we're talking about the psoas muscle. See, we've got it now.
You got it.
Up until this point, we had no clue. We were trying, and I know you sent over some pronunciation, like a pronunciation guide, and we're like, we're trying here. But it's very interesting to understand how muscles and mental health connect. Yes. And especially, and Janelle was talking a little bit about it this just a moment ago, about the digital age in regards to this. And that truly is, for those that are just jumping on board via Facebook or YouTube, we tend to try to be our own physicians and chiropractors and so on and so forth out there. Yeah. And sometimes that information isn't as accurate, is it?
Right. No, it's not. It's not as accurate, and so it's really important to, consult with people about it, ask questions, But the beautiful thing about that digital era, though, too, is that it introduces us to ideas and it creates awareness around certain things, right? Like, I'm sure, funny enough, here we are having this conversation about the psoas muscle, the emotional trauma that's held within it, and that kind of stuff. Janelle's probably going to jump on Instagram and she's going to get something in her feed that shows her how to release that muscle.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Right. They're listening.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I would definitely trust somebody with like like that's an actual chiropractor, though, instead of trying to,
But it's showing us stuff. It's creating awareness within our lives and drawing attention to things. And I love the beautiful thing about it is we have more information at our fingertips now than we ever had. Right.
Yes.
But yes, there are a lot of people out there that don't know what they're talking about. They can lead you astray. And we deal with that a lot, especially in the gym and stuff too, is like nothing's a one size fit all, right? The stretches that work for this lady isn't going to work for this guy. Mm-hmm. The diet plan that worked for this person isn't going to work for that person. Like, so that's where we come in, is like to be able to assess on an individual basis, provide the right prescription, whether it be exercise, nutrition, or chiropractic adjustments or stretching and that kind of stuff.
So before we wrap up here, break it down again. The psoas muscle, where is that one more time?
So the psoas muscle starts at your lumbar spine, so deep, like beneath your belly, connects to your lumbar spine, attaches to the inside part of your femur, so your leg, your upper leg.
Okay.
It is responsible for putting your leg into a flexed position, right?
Okay. Yep.
And then we realize that psoas muscle gets tight when we're spending an inordinate amount of time in a seated position. Mm-hmm. So as that muscle gets tight, it puts pressure on what we call the lumbar plexus of nerves, which creates a whole multitude of other issues, whether it be leg pain, groin pain, reproductive issues, digestive issues, things like that. And so our job as a chiropractor is to look at that, realize, hey, this back pain might not be stemming from a disc issue or a misaligned vertebrae. It looks like this psoas muscle is tight, and then we can release that. Funny enough, too, so we've been talking about it all week in the office through our social media pages. Mm-hmm. There's a video online of my associate, Dr. Andrew, doing a psoas release. Is actually on my wife, Sarah. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And so if anyone wonders what that looks like, you can jump on there and take a look on our Facebook page.
And you can actually see that taking place.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Any other questions that you have before we wrap up?
I guess the gym. Like, is there new hours, anything like that? Or how do we get involved with that?
So our hours are relatively consistent. You guys know, like, our primary business is class-based fitness, right? So we are looking to kind of tweak our winter hours in the yoga gym. I think we're in the process of adding a new instructor and expanding our hours. We add an additional Pilates class on Friday mornings. And then we're running a special right now. We're doing our 5 classes for $35 because, like, I always encourage people, like, waiting to New Year's great, but, like, let's get a jump start. Like, let's see where we're at, and that way you hit the ground running come New Year's. You got a plan in your head, you know what classes you're taking, what you're going to be doing, how you want to change your diet, who you're going to talk to about that, and all that kind of stuff. So we're doing that 5 for $35 right now. And you can do that through our Facebook pages and our website. It's kind of a good deal. Yeah. And then the functional fitness stuff, the CrossFit gym, that's still maintaining the same hours. It's relatively consistent. We have seen an uptick in a lot of our classes. That's the beautiful thing about our gym is, like, we're busy in the summer. There are people that, tourists that come.
Yes. Yep.
But our primary, like, my goal, right, is not for that. My goal is to help shift the health outcomes for our community at large. Yeah. And when things go up this time of year, fall, winter, then I know that we're hitting the mark. Right. And so I'm really encouraged by everything I'm seeing right now within those spaces.
And it's really cool that, like, your gym's not just like, the gym, like you go to AFC or something like that. Like, you have classes. I mean, if somebody is interested in more yoga than, like, when you think of the gym, like working out or whatever, like, you actually have, like, on-site people that actually will tend to you,
yes,
like, in what your needs are.
Yeah, help guide you on that thing. Because, like, that's the thing too, is people don't know, you don't know what you don't know. And the more information we can provide people with, and the hands-on learning and that kind of stuff, then they can take that with them as they move forward, right?
Right.
So that's why we created it. And we wanted to remove roadblocks. Like, in the gym, we have a kids room where we can,
cool.
And the door is glass so the kids can see out and you can see in, you can keep an eye on them. But, like, if busy mom wants, let's say she drops 2 off at school, she's still got the little one with her, like, the baby can hang out in the kids room, she can get her workout in at 8:30, and then they can pack up and go. And there is Netflix going and that kind of stuff, so we still do fall prey to the digital benefits, right? Of that stuff.
Super convenient, though.
Yes.
All right, very cool. All right, before we wrap up, one more exercise that we can tell the listeners about that they can do, but they want to come down and see you. Check that out. Make sure that those muscles are working the way they should be working. And what's one more thing?
If you think your psoas is tight and you got some stored emotional traumas in there, or just, like, you spend a majority of your time seated, the easiest thing to do is what we talked about, is you lay flat on your belly on the ground, leaving your hips in contact with the ground. You take your hands and you push up into a push-up position, right? So your chest rises up. Now, if you start to feel the tension in the front part of your legs, maybe in, like, kind of like maybe medial to your belly button, that's how we know you have a tight hip flexor, you have a tight psoas muscle. That will tell you right away. And a lot of times what we see is people's inability to keep their hips on the ground while they put their chest off the ground. And that tells us right away that it's tight.
All right. Good information.
Yeah.
Dr. Jacob Seng, NorthStar Chiropractic, NorthStar Fitness. That's where you want to check them out. Social media, they're doing great. Regular posts there. And it sounds like your other doctor, which is
Dr. Andrew,
is doing really well.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very cool. So. All right, Doc, thanks for coming in. We appreciate you.
Guys.
Or as I called him, what did I call him the other day?
Dr. J.
Dr. J. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So hopefully you are called that, right? I was. Yes. Okay. It is 8:36 now on 102.7 Mom FM and Hot Country Hits 99.9. If you missed any part of this segment, check it out on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel.